Hi and welcome. This is Tobzi from TobziGames, and I'm going to be starting a new kind of little show here where I interview some StarCraft 2 players in the Master Division or Diamond, who knows. First up, I got Mr. Mike Dunn, aka Mr. MikeD. For more information, you can go to MikeDSC.net. Say hi, Mr. Mike.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Nice to have you with her here tonight, and this morning, I will say. Sorry for that.
Well, it's night for you and morning for
Yeah,
me, so whatever.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
the internet. It never sleeps.
exactly. Drinking your tea, I see.
Of course.
Of course. So I'm gonna start off. Who are you? Tell us a little bit more
Well,
about yourself.
I'm MikeD. And really, I'm just kind of a ranging from mid to high masters player in StarCraft 2, and my main kind of thing though is that I stream very often, and I kind of have a fairly regular core group of people that follow me, and I also do some coaching and stuff like that. I feel like I'm a pretty good coach, and so I get good feedback from that. I'm also a pretty cheap coach because if you compare it to some of these other, because like I said, I'm not the top tier of player or anything, but I'm just always striving to get better. But I definitely have something to offer the majority of the players out there that
Yeah,
are interested in coaching.
yeah. But we'll get in.
So
Yeah, but we'll
yeah,
get
yeah,
into
yeah.
that a little bit later in the questions here. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what else is about me. I'm just a StarCraft 2 player, an avid fan of StarCraft 2 and RTS games for a long time, and uh, I picked up streaming one day because a friend of mine asked me to kind of do it, and or didn't ask me to do it, but he was like, "Hey, let's try and set this stream thing up." Once I got my new computer, and I did, and I just realized I really enjoyed it, and just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, that comes into our second question. How did you start? How did you find out about? Did you were you an old Brawl War player, or how did you come into soccer? And how did you? Yeah.
Um, well, actually, my story is I have a little bit of a story for it actually. RTS games in general. I didn't really know anything about them at all. Like I didn't know what an RTS game was, and this is going back to when I was like I want to say like between as little as like 11 or 12 or something. Is when I first played any sort of Blizzard game, and that was I owned a Mac. My family owned a Mac, and it was always really hard to find games for Macs at that time. Like there wasn't very much cross compatibility, and so like that was always my downfall of like, and I liked games. Um, but we would get these magazines every so often, and they would come with demo discs.
Yep.
And on the demo disc, there would be like games and stuff. And Blizzard has actually always been one of the few companies that's always been fairly good about cross compatibility, and making sure that Mac players and stuff had the ability to play their games.
Yeah.
And so this was a little while after Warcraft 2 came out, apparently, and there was a demo for Warcraft 2 on this thing, but I didn't know what I was just trying all the little demos, whether they be first-person shooters or RPGs or whatever. And
Yeah.
I open the game, and it opens to the first level, which is like build 3 farms and train 4 footmen or something. But I didn't get any of this. All I saw is that the screen was centered on a little peasant, which in StarCraft is which in Warcraft is like the equivalent to a probe.
Yep.
But you start with 1 in Warcraft 2,
Yeah.
and the screen is centered on it, and so I click on it or it's selected or something, and I see like the attack and the move buttons and stuff, and so I use those to kind of start moving around. And what I don't realize is that this guy isn't my only guy, like I have no idea how an RTS works. So I assume this is like an RPG,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even an avid RPG kind of guy, but I was like, all right, so this is my character. So I move around my base, and I see like one of the footmen, like the standard units that it starts you with, and I'm like, all right, I press the attack button, and I click on it, and my little peasant goes over there, and he starts chopping at it, and there's no response from the footman because it's actually my own unit, and then it dies, and then I kill the other guys in my base, and then I leave my base with my little peasant, and I walk out into the forest, and I run into an actual enemy, and it just kills me immediately, and I'm like, damn, this game's harder than I thought it was. and then from there, I eventually kind of figured out how it actually worked, and went through the demo. Eventually, bought the battle chest, which came with the expansion pack. Did the campaign a lot, played a lot of single player with it, but never really. I could never go online with it because I had like a 14.4 built-in modem. 14,
Oh my god, yeah.
14.4K, if you don't,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
anyone
The old
knows what I'm
days,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, so and so whenever I would play some sort of, they didn't even have BattleNet, but when I would find these, I would find the websites and try and do. Well, the point was I would lag out every time immediately. So that never really worked. I never got into that per se, but in the box was an advertisement for StarCraft, and that was coming out and such. And once that came out, I started playing StarCraft. And then when the Brood War came out, I started playing that. But I never competitively. I always thought I was better than I was, or like I had no idea how the game actually worked. But I did play it quite a lot, like single player and all this other stuff, but never really got too into it. And from there, eventually Warcraft 3 came out, and that was when I actually started getting into any sort of like competitive RTS gaming. Not that I was ever even as involved in that as I am with StarCraft 2 now, but it was sort of it was it was the first time I was ever like actually good at something, or not good at
Yeah.
something, good at a RTS game, you know. And I started to more involved with it and stuff. The pro scene really helped me with that actually. That's where I first was introduced into esports and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I want to be a part of it. Um, and there's actually one more game that I need to mention in the midst of that though, because in between my StarCraft playing and Warcraft 3, there was this game called Myth, not
Yeah.
Myst, not the single
No,
player,
Myth. Myth. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
MYTH,
Yeah.
and it was made by Bungie, the same people who make Halo,
Yeah.
but this was before Microsoft bought Bungie. And it's funny because Halo was always this game that Bungie was talking about, and that people that were Bungie fans, and nobody knew who Bungie was except for like Myth players and stuff like that. Or actually, their original series was the Marathon series, which
Yeah.
was fairly popular for
Play that.
first-person
Yeah.
shooter. But anyways, the point is the Myth series was like this really cool tactical RTS. It didn't involve building buildings or anything, but that was another thing that I got really into. And I just feel like that it's kind of sad actually, because all the servers for that game are like shut down. But it was a really like awesome game. It was like all about micromanagement basically. Like it was just one big micro war, and had a really cool physics system, especially for its time. But that's besides the point. I just felt like that's a
Yeah.
notable mention, because that's what really bridged the gap between, because there was a long time between Brood War and Warcraft 3 coming out.
Yeah.
And so StarCraft 2 came out, and I found myself in a situation where I had a lot of time, potentially a lot of time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go all at it and see how far I can take this, because this is now years later, and all this other stuff happened in between, and I put my whole like esports thing on hold, but it was always something that I would have loved to get involved in, and then here I am with StarCraft and doing it.
Yeah, and that brings us directly into the next question here. How did you just focus on StarCraft? I mean, you have other competitive games out there like Han, Heroes of New Earth, League of Legends. You have a small World of Warcraft arena theme. Why did you just focus on StarCraft? How became StarCraft your #1 competitive game?
Um, just because, I mean, I've always had a love for RTS games, and I've always considered them higher form of gaming compared to others. Not that first-person shooters don't have their own sort of skill set, but you know, World of Warcraft is kind of silly. It's like a social game in a lot of ways. Not to disregard the competitive players of that, because I do understand that there is now like a fairly competitive arena scene for that, and it's like kind of so where they like sort of even the playing field a little bit, and people can actually showcase skills as opposed to grinding.
Yeah.
But I just always considered RTSs to be a real way to kind of show your skill. Um, the idea of strategy combined with the reflexes and the speed and everything all at the same time, where it's like your mind is beating their mind, but at the same time you also have to be faster. You also have to be more precise. You know, it's like this whole encompassing thing. I mean, like chess isn't like an impossible game and to master really, and StarCraft is, and RTS games in general are kind of like that because like you can never there's even if we look at the best of the best of the best that there ever was in an RTS game, um, you literally can never it's physically impossible to literally do two things at once in an RTS game. You know, like I mean, you can make it appear that you're doing two things at once, but by being so fast and by using techniques and stuff, but your screen can't be in two places at the same time, and
Exactly.
two things can't be selected separately at the same time and be doing separate things. So it has this like, and there are times that you would like to be doing three, four, five things at the same time. And so it's impossible for you ever to reach this like perfect skill gap that maybe a computer could do or something.
Yeah.
So there's always room for people improvement to strive closer to that perfect ideal, knowing that you'll never achieve it,
Yeah.
but always striving for it. And so it leads like this unlimitedness to the game.
Yeah. And one thing here I want to put in to ask you also, or talk to you a little bit about, this has come in other events I've been on and stuff like that. People have been talking just because this huge World of Warcraft scene, there were arena teams, and then they
Hmm.
came StarCraft, and StarCraft kind of overtook that. But as a spectator on the games, I must say that Blizzard really, really helped with StarCraft 2 and how you can look at the game from a spectator view. For example, if you take Hon, you can never get a really overview look of what's going on. If you take WoW, you can never get a whole arena overlook of what's going on. It's very hard
Hmm.
for spectators to be in the game. But I
Yeah,
feel that
that's a
that's
very
really
good
what
point.
StarCraft is there. You can see both players, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're thinking it. You can even follow their movements two separate times, and brings up really in depth what the players are doing. Now that's, I think, is why this huge scene we have over 50,000 viewers looking at streams on Team Liquid, for example. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's a great point, actually. I love it because like RTS games really are just they're the one game that's designed best for spectator. And again, like if you look at a first person shooter, it comes back to the WoW thing. Like you can only I haven't watched that much competitive WoW, but if I'm not mistaken, you can pretty much just follow one player at a time.
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, and so the same thing with the first-person shooter. There's no like, and I think they've come certain ways of kind of, like, I know maybe in Counter-Strike and stuff, they've come up with ways of having like semi-overviews or something,
Yeah,
overhead views or something. But still, like to be able to see the skill of the player at the same time, the only way you can do that is to do like the first person in those games, and it's a lot harder for spectators. You're hitting that right on the head. That's a good
yeah,
point.
I think that. So I think that's Blizzard did some amazing work there with the UN. Now also with the latest patch that came a couple of weeks ago, with the new overlays and stuff for spectators and casters. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
they've been working towards that, but I think important thing to note there is that it's kind of like the fundamentals of the game as well. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it's not just the fact that Blizzard added this, that, or the other thing. Just the fact that there's an observer mode, which is standard in any RTS. Even I mean, it wasn't always. I mean, I believe Brood War didn't have an observer mode until a patch later on,
yeah,
and games before that didn't either. But once that was implemented, it just became like so possible for all of this to happen
yeah,
just because of the mechanics of the way the game works in the first place. Because it is comparable to chess because you can look up from an overhead view and you can see a decent amount of what's going on at once. I mean, obviously we have only a certain screen region, but if you have a good observer, they can show you what's happening.
yeah. I think that's wonderful. So that's a little bit about you and StarCraft. So many of my viewers here on my channel, and if you're a new viewer, you come here directly to see MikeD or to see StarCraft. But I'm kind of new into the StarCraft scene. I've been coming from the Minecraft scene, if there is a scene there, but there was a scene. But for all you new we say Minecrafters now, they're looking into buying StarCraft 2, coming into StarCraft 2. Well, MikeD, what do you get for tips for a brand new, I'm going to the store tomorrow to buy StarCraft 2? Do I just do the campaign and then I'm ready to go online, or what do I do? How do I
Well,
become good?
that dynamic is different. I mean, I definitely, for somebody who's never played, I don't not recommend doing the campaign, but it's a totally different game online. But at least that will get you oriented with the fundamentals of just how to like kind of move around, how to select things, do the super fundamentals that will help you with. Other than that, it's not going to help that much, and it can kind of be a hindrance in some ways because you can come up with things that work in the campaign that will never work online. Meaning, like, some people are like, well, if I build 30 bunkers and fill them with Marines and then tech to battle cruisers and make 85 battle cruisers, I pretty much always win. And like, you can't do that online, you know. And if you're a new player and you're hearing that, you don't really know what. But actually, the biggest tip I can tell you to do, because I fell into this trap for a while back when I played Brood War, is don't get static defense heavy, which means don't, or like crazy. I mean, don't get static defense crazy, where you're like, well, I'm gonna build like 35 photon cannons and then I can do whatever I want for, like, you know, like, that doesn't actually work. And,
I fell into that trap also.
Yeah, and it's a common thing, and people will do that for such a long time. But to get away from the more specific in-game tips, I would say be ready to lose a lot. Like, when I knew this going into StarCraft 2 because I knew that it was coming from StarCraft 1 and there was a lot of StarCraft 1 players that were going to be playing this, that I might have some sort of advantage because of my Warcraft 3 experience. But when I bought StarCraft 2, I said to myself, you know what? I don't expect to be good at this right now. And my standards of what I expected me to be good was probably different than other people's that have never played an RTS game before or something like that. But regardless, I said to myself, I'm prepared to lose like 30 games in a row or more and keep losing until like it happens, until I get it. And going into it with that attitude helped me a lot, because it's frustrating, because it's hard to win and it's a really difficult game. Even at the lower levels, like, there's all sorts of, like, just to move up a little bit in skill level takes a lot of work. But when you first start, it's going to be like hitting your head against the wall. So you have to have, and that goes back to like your second question. The main, like, we talked about the advantages of this sort of game for spectators and stuff, but the disadvantage is that there is this skill curve, or the skill like gap, sort of, that if you've never played the game, it's hard to follow the game. And so I think that's the thing that holds StarCraft back. And so until RTSs as a whole become a little bit more mainstream, it's going to be hard to get somebody who has never played an RTS game to sit down and watch a StarCraft match for the first time and be entertained, as opposed to just totally confused. So I don't know, for new players, just try it. Watch a lot of StarCraft, but also try and play a decent amount. And there also is definitely a niche for people who don't like to play a whole lot but watch a lot, you know. Just playing the game a decent amount until you get the fundamentals down and can understand what's going on the screen. There's a whole scene of people that are just like, you know, just as there's football fans that don't play football. The majority of them, you know, there's plenty of StarCraft players like that too. Now it's skewed in the other direction because of the things I just mentioned, but yeah, it's a great thing to be able to at least try. And if playing the game isn't for you, you now have this whole window of entertainment that you can access at some point, and then maybe that will inspire you to play at some point some more.
Yeah, exactly. And to go into to start off with the next question here is about the StarCraft Pro scene and what's going to happen with StarCraft. We look back at the Brood Wars. How many years was that playable? 12? Something like that?
More than that.
Yeah, 15 or something like that. I mean, that game ran. Now it was mainly in Korea. As of me personally, I heard about StarCraft, but I didn't. I knew that there was a Brood War like scene in the Korea, but not in the US or Europe. I never heard about any pro scene going on, but there was some small leaks, but nothing major.
Yeah.
StarCraft 2 has really opened up the world, and right now, as of a couple of weeks back, we see that Korea isn't undefeated. You can beat Korean players. We have a lot, and me myself from Sweden, we have top Swedish players beating Korean players. We have American players beating Korean players, and I think that the world is really open and going to threaten the Korean empire of StarCraft, and this is a wonderful scene. And also, StarCraft 2 has been, I don't know how it's going over in the USA, but you have the new league called NSAL, Nat Star League, American National Star League, what's it called?
North American Star
North
League.
American Star League, sorry for that. And that's broadcasted over the internet. Here in Sweden, we have something called DreamHack, and that is being aired by national TV. This summer now, they're gonna Swedish biggest TV network is gonna broadcast the matches, and they
Is
also.
that the first time DreamHack's gonna be televised?
No, it was that the same company, Swedish Television, did it this winter, but only online. But this time they're gonna air
Yeah.
episode on national TV, on the TV also. So
Nice.
this is
Is it
gonna
gonna be like live coverage, or is it gonna be
Yeah.
like a documentary
no,
on the event?
they're doing documentary right now, building
Mhm.
up to DreamHack Summer,
Mhm.
and then DreamHack Summer is
Right.
going to be live coverage by,
That's
and
awesome,
we
man.
have the biggest caster. We say we heard rumors Day9 is there, and Toll Biscuit and Apollo and stuff like that coming.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a wonderful event. But how do you see, or do you see in America? You're from America. Do you see this coming to New America also, that the biggest television networks trying, like in Korea, that we're going to get the televised broadcast of StarCraft 2 or any esport game for that matter?
I would love to see that. I mean, G4 has made like kind of pushes. The thing is like the console gaming scene is like a lot bigger here, unfortunately, because it's just more like, I don't know, it caught on a little bit more. It's more acceptable. It seems to be considered less nerdy or something. So like G4 has like kind of tried to do things like that before. G4, the like gaming television channel. But they would kind of do some things like that. Like when I saw that channel for the first time, I really thought that it was a great thing, but then it kind of like they didn't really have any good way of showing, like, it kind of came back to that problem that most of these console games that were competitive, they didn't have a way of really making it good for a spectator, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
And so their attempts at that like seemed to kind of fail. It never turned into the channel itself turned into more of just a smorgasbord of like shows for gamers, but not necessarily shows about games, you know.
Excellent.
And again, it was always geared towards the whole console thing, anyways, which is like the American gaming in general tends to be, and unfortunately, I feel like the competitiveness of that is kind of limited, but not that there isn't like a competitive skill that can grow from that, but just that for the spectator ways, and just like the fact that the PC gives us so many options to come up with all of these cool things, to be socially interactive, to come up with third-party software to enhance the viewership or whatever, viewing experience and stuff. But anyways, what do I actually think, to actually answer your question instead of just saying a whole bunch of words? I don't think it's happening yet, but I would love to see it happen. And if anything is pushing towards that happening, it's StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
And if not StarCraft 2, then StarCraft 3, or Warcraft 4, something. I think it's moving in that direction. It is growing. Sometimes I wonder if our numbers are deceiving, and I don't want to be pessimistic, but like I feel like right now the StarCraft 2 scene, I don't know how much it's growing. Like I know it's growing, but like, and I know we have these large numbers of viewership across multiple streams and stuff, but I feel like a lot of those are kind of like the same core group of people. There seems to be something about 100 to 200,000 people, you know, that kind of tune into almost everything. So it's like you get large numbers a lot, but it's the same group. It's not, and it's hard to branch a game out like this. But hopefully it happens, and
Yeah,
I'm waiting for it to happen.
the little problem that I see there that I think that we're doing right here now in Sweden is very good to inform, because it's the spectators that makes these grow. I
Oh, of
mean,
course.
they bring the money, they bring the sponsors, they bring and to inform the viewers. I mean, we're coming in we are right now in a generation. I don't know exactly the English word for it, but this new generation that's brought up by esport, coming up to meet a generation with like 35, 40 plus that even don't know what esport mean. What's more important, I think we need to inform them. I think that the companies should more go into informing them what is esport, what is gaming online, what is games in general, to inform them, to make them more open to it. And when that happens, I think the scene can grow for any online game.
Yeah, it's definitely all about the spectators and it's all about the sponsors because I mean, we live in a capitalistic world where that is what is going to determine
Exactly.
if people can't make a living off of it, then it's not going to grow because there's
Exactly.
nothing backing it. And so and if it can't contribute to the mainstream economical world in some sort of sense. But the thing is, right now, right now I do think it's undervalued. I mean, because if you comparatively, if you look at Justin TV and how much, like, and I make some ad revenue from that. Not, and it's not a lot though. And then if you look at, and so let's just say somebody has like your streamer like Idra or somebody like that has up to 5,000 viewers at one time. You know, so you have 5,000 people seeing a full length TV, same commercials you see on television, you see on Justin
Yeah.
TV. And you see a full-length commercial for 5,000 people now. Now these advertising is a huge industry that pays mega money to get their stuff on TV. Like it's the amount of money that they spend for that 1 minute or 30 seconds of television commercial is like astronomical. But Justin TV charges them per viewer. So like it doesn't if they get views they don't have to pay the television company a straight up thing right away like based off of the expected viewers, you know. They actually get an actual read of how many people are seeing this.
Yeah.
And the prices are like not even comparable. Like, you know, these advertising companies are paying pennies compared to what they pay
Yeah.
for broadcast TV.
From a personal point of view, I don't think that they're ready yet. They don't know. They're afraid still. The ad companies are afraid still to invest money in online advertising on streaming videos, because really YouTube started a couple of years back, but for gaming and stuff like that, StarCraft is the first game really that, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of people a day just looking at streaming StarCraft 2 plays,
Yeah.
tournaments, stuff like that. And I think that still it's just the beginning. So I think in a couple of months or a year or so, we will see more money from advertising going into these broadcasts and online TV shows and online. And for me personally, sure, it would be funny to see it on our national TV. That's fun. But I'm happy with streaming, if it's good
Yeah, I mean,
quality and good production. Because if it's the same production as they do on TV, but online streaming, it doesn't matter for me. Everybody has a
I don't even
computer.
like the production that's on television, really. You know, like I don't like to be.
It's too
I
fake.
like to. Yeah, like I don't want to have to turn on a channel and wait for the streamer that I want to come on. You know, like
No.
I can go on Justin TV. I can choose all of the. You know, like it's just I don't know. I mean, not that that is how it would work, but there's a certain comfort that we have with the PC that I feel like. And technology is getting more and more towards that as well. Like
Exactly.
computers, TVs are becoming computers. You know,
Yeah.
you have apps for your TV now.
Exactly.
You have touchscreen remotes, and you're using your same computer monitor for your television. And that's the setup that I'm going for here, is to actually eliminate television in general and just use my PC as my television, you know, and that's what I'm doing. I now have my room set up where I have my fairly nice size screen monitor, and so I can just turn that towards my bed, and now I have a TV, you know, and I
Exactly.
can watch what I
Yeah.
want, and I have a nice sound system and everything, and so it's just like I think um, the television thing is going to become more and more intertwined with PCs and the internet to the point where it's one and the same. Because it's just so much like people like interactive, you know, that's where it's going down. They like to be able, you know, like I mean, you as a stream watcher and most of the people that watch streams, like they wouldn't want a stream where they didn't have a chat window to talk about the game live
Exactly.
with every viewer that's there, you know, like so
The
I don't know, it's
interaction is very important. Yeah.
yeah, but unfortunately, I think you're right. A lot of advertising companies and stuff just haven't grasped onto that yet, and they don't realize that like you're getting 10,000 viewers for something um, State of the Game or Day
Yeah.
9 or something, and they're all going to see this commercial, and it's a full-length commercial. It's no different than a commercial on TV, which you're paying, I don't know, 10, 20, 100 times that to get a televised commercial. You know, what they pay for a billboard, what they pay their advertisers to set up the ad in the first place, and then to get this huge payoff right now. It's they should get in while they can, because I don't think it's going to stay as cheap as it is,
Yeah.
based off of the
And that
advertising market.
billboard you're driving by, you can't click on and buy it directly, but you can do it. So the money should be in online commercial, like in ads in streaming stuff like that. But let's move on and go back into Mr. Mike D here, to get some more analyzing going on. What are your
Yeah.
goals right now? What do you have? Do you set up like personal goals? Like I'm
Yeah,
going to do.
well, basically my personal goal, well, okay, I have a couple short-term goals, which one is to be featured on Team Liquid. That's like kind of my ultimate like short-term goal right now, because that would just really help my stream
Yeah.
grow more than anything. Unfortunately, even though apparently like people just they don't look there, you know, they don't look at the non-featured streams, a lot of them, and for whatever reason they'll click on, you know, there's not to, I don't want to start any whatever, but there are streamers that I consider my stream very comparable to, as far as entertainment and quality and production,
Yeah.
and skill level. Take somebody like Orb, who's been around for a while, and he got featured, I think, quite a while ago, and so he was one of the first people to do, if I'm not mistaken, he was kind of one of the people to kind of pioneer the whole like camera thing, like interaction with the viewers,
Yep.
sort of deal, and so he got featured early on. But he's I would compare him to my skill level. I'm not gonna say I'm better than him, but you know, like
No, you're about the
we're
same.
around.
I can say I follow
Yeah,
him too, and I can say you're
yeah,
about the same.
and so
So
like, and he has this whole interactive thing, and he's featured, and he automatically gets something like 300 to 400 viewers at a
yeah,
time, just because he's on that featured thing, and it's kind of, it sucks for me a little bit, just because I'm really, I want to be there, you know, and I feel like I
exactly.
bring the same production and I bring the same quality and stuff, so I don't
For
know why I
sure.
shouldn't be. So that's just a little bit of my frustration with that, but either way, it would be great once that happens, or if it happens or whatever. But I just really kind of need support from my viewers to help me do that. But as far as long-term StarCraft goals, my just to take it as far as I can.
Of course,
I
grandmasters. I
want,
guess you
yeah. I mean,
like to put yourself there. Yeah.
I would love to be. I would love to be a pro gamer, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, and by that I mean up there in the competing with the highest tier, and having a shot at these big tournaments and stuff. Now, for whatever reason, there's I seem to keep hitting my head against like certain skill caps and stuff, you know. But I think I can. I think I have something in me. You know, there's the drive for it at least. So we'll see. We'll see
Exactly.
how
Yeah.
far it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So also, you are a coach. Can we just talk a little bit about coaching in general in StarCraft 2? Why do you think that coaching in StarCraft is so big that it is? Because I mean, you have coaching people that charges over $100 an hour for being good in a game.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But what were your point on this?
I mean, it's only so crazy. It feels crazy right now, but And there was a time, like I remember when I was playing Warcraft 3 and I would look at people's profiles and they would say that they offer lessons for like a certain amount an hour or something, and I was like, really? People pay money for gaming lessons? Like, and I thought that was kind of laughable or something. But this was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, people, do you know how much people pay for tennis coaches,
Yeah,
for
exactly. I
professional
was
tennis
going
coach.
in. I
And
had
and
that
I'm not, and
discussion.
not
Yeah.
people that are even professional tennis players or serious tennis players, but they're just like stereotypical rich guys,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
that want to get better at tennis, and so they pay 200 or however many $100 an hour for a tennis coach,
Yeah.
and because they have a drive to get better at something, and they are willing to put the resources into it, and it really is like it's proven that I don't know if proven and everyone learns differently, but there's pretty much you can assume that um, people it's it's a quicker way to learn for sure,
Yeah.
and it's an effective way to learn. And if you have a good coach, you will get better um, much quicker than just pounding your head against the wall over and over and over again,
Exactly.
because it's especially for newer players and for really all skill levels of players. Right now, I'm looking for the right coach for myself, actually, because like I said, I'm trying to make the push to go a
Yeah.
little bit further. So far, I haven't really found somebody that I feel like is going to work for me. And if I'm going to be um, paying $30-$40 an hour or something, I need to know that it's going to be the right person that can help me
Exactly.
make
Exactly.
the push I need to make.
Yeah.
Um, but for lower level players, it's great because there is a range. There's like people like myself, $10 an hour right now, which is extremely cheap compared to. I mean, it doesn't go any lower than that.
No, no, that's the cheapest around there.
At the same
Yeah.
time, um, I feel like I can offer the same um, input or advice that some of these top tier players can give you to anyone that's lower than me, all the way up to like high diamond, low masters,
Yeah.
because really just because there's only so much, like a pro gamer might be able to give somebody like myself the information and extra things that he needs to make the push from where I am to a higher tier. But really, how much more help can a pro gamer give to a bronze player than I can give to a bronze player? And really, I strongly believe this, that there isn't really much of a difference at all. And at that point, it comes down to teaching style and teaching ability and stuff. And
Yeah.
really, that's something that I pride myself in, actually. I think my approach to it is a little bit different and a little bit, will I say better, I don't know, than some other coaches I've seen. And not all of them. There's some very good coaches out there, and a good example of this is somebody like In Control, who is one of the most highest paid coaches out there.
Yep.
And the reason he's so high paid is because he's a good teacher. It's not because he's the best StarCraft player. Idra charges a lot because he has this huge like idea that behind him that he is like top two,
Yeah.
in the world. And I say that just because I don't want to say top best, because it doesn't necessarily. So like he charges an astronomical amount because of that. In Control doesn't charge because because him and the rest of the community consider him the best, but they do consider him a great teacher. And if I'm not mistaken, he has some sort of teaching degree or something like that behind him as well. And so he's a great coach,
Yeah.
and he can get the message across. But I feel like I'm a great coach. It's funny, both my teachers, both my parents are teachers, and
It's in your blood.
teaching is a thing that I've kind
In
of
your genes. Yeah.
thought about doing myself. And since I've been coaching, I've actually realized that it is something I'm good at. And so yeah, that's kind of my idea about coaching. But to go back to the thing about whether or not it's, because like I was surprised that it blew up as big as it did here as well. But streaming and stuff really helped that, because once people saw, and I have to attribute the combination of like Gosu coaching and then Mr. Bitter, actually.
Yep.
when he started streaming In Control's streaming sessions, and people saw that, it was like, hey, like this is legitimate. Like I can see how this is helping me. Like I watched those and it helped me immensely, and and I realized that like streaming is coaching is a totally like legitimate thing. As far as did you ask the question? Was this the same question of how did I get into coaching?
Exactly. How? Yeah. How did it come that you came into coaching?
Okay, basically it was just, I mean, I started streaming and it started just like kind of as a thing that I like to do, and I realized that I liked the social interaction because I was always like a mass ladder player, and so I was doing a lot of that, and then um after that there was sorry, I got distracted by my stream chat. It's funny because that's what I'm talking about, is that the fact that there's this social interaction, like it's 1v1, grinding 1v1 games against anonymous players, like in ladder, where if you do talk to them, it's like not a pleasant experience
Yeah.
most of the time. Then it's like it becomes a little bit like, it's like I eventually got into the 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 scene in Warcraft 3 because for those reasons, because I wanted more social interaction and stuff. So when you're a hardcore 1v1 player, it can kind of get a little bit lonely out there on the ladder, and that's a good reason to have practice partners and a team and everything as well. But once I started streaming, I was like, wow, like this is like I have more motivation to press that find game button, and I have more motivation to think about each game and to talk about each game and to analyze each game. And so I started doing that, and I really got into the streaming, and I did it more and more. And then it really the coaching wasn't by, I didn't consider myself like a possibility as a coach. You know, I never considered myself that high a tier of a player. I was like, nobody was going to want me to be coaching. But then I started to see the prices that people were charging and stuff, and I'm like, well, if people are willing to charge that much for these people, then maybe I can get away with X amount of dollars or whatever. But really, what happened is that people on my stream started requesting it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a matter of me saying, you know what, I'm going to try coaching. I didn't come up with that idea until multiple people asked me about it, and I was like, really, you want me to coach you? And they're like, yeah, I think you could really help me. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I would charge or what I tried a couple free coaching sessions, you know, and that went fairly well. And then I was like, well, let's just try this, because at the time I'm going to school and I didn't have a job, and I was looking for a job, but I was focusing more on school, and so I was like, let's just throw a number. Let's just say, I mean, I could make $8 an hour at freaking Burger King right now if
Yeah.
I wanted to. So let's put $8 an hour and see how that goes. And the turnout was I was amazed with the turnout. It's just
Yeah.
like tons of people wanted it, and I was like, well, eight is, let's go for 10 because it's a nice even number. And a couple of my people, first students actually, were like, dude, $8 an hour is nothing. You can't be charging this little. So I went back to I went up to 10, and then I tried 15 for a little while, and a couple other deals where it was like 12.50 an hour if you got more than 1 hour, and that was better for me in some senses, but it's for whatever reason the interest seemed to die off a little bit. So I set it back to 10, and I've been getting steady business ever since,
Yeah.
and it feels pretty good.
To sum that up, can you name your 3 best attributes as a coach? Why? Can you say 3 things that, like, why would people choose you to be coaching you? Protoss we're talking now because you're coaching Protoss playing mostly. So if you describe yourself in 3 words to promote yourself, what would those
Three
be?
words. Okay. Um, patient. Patient is a good one. Um, uh, I don't. I don't know how to do it in 3 words, man. I'm a multiple word kind of guy. But what I can say, I'll sum it up real quick though, because I do think I'm patient, and I've been told that. But I don't think that's the most important thing per se. Although I've seen coaches that aren't patient, and that can be a huge that can be a disaster.
Yeah, we won't say any names, but I think I have
Yeah,
someone in
but
mind. Yeah.
yeah, he may or may not be streaming at this moment.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man. Good thing I'm not featured right now, or I'd be getting in trouble. Um, so anyways, so that is important. That's like a fundamental thing, but we don't. You shouldn't even have to talk about that. I mean, that should be a given. You know, a
Yeah,
teacher needs to be patient.
yeah,
But I think as far as my style goes, I like to do a little bit more theory with people. And you know what? The best thing is personalization. Um, when I start with a student. Um, Although it often goes in the same direction for many people, because a lot of people are at similar levels, I start out asking questions about the player, where they're at. I make sure to look at a recent replay of theirs to kind of assess what they need to work on. And of course, a lot of times it's the same sort of thing, and I get into the same kind of lessons with a lot of people. But at the same time, there has been a lot of times where we realize specific things just through watching that replay, and then we go. Then I kind of have a few set lessons that have kind of just like emerged. You know, I never wrote them down or anything, but these things that I go over that I think really tend to help people get a foundation, and then we go from there and we go through the style, personalize the style towards that player, whether it be games against myself or games against other players, or replay analysis, or there was even somebody that has a stream that would have me watch his stream even with the delay
yeah,
and coach him to that. Some people like to be coached while playing, like in a game, like over their shoulder, but that's not always the best thing for everyone. Some people like to get into a custom game where we can pause and we can talk about things, and I kind of go down towards that more often than I do, and the little bit more standard, and the thing that makes me a little bit different from most coaches is that I think the standard in coaching has been like the coach finds one of his like friends that is his level or higher, or considerably higher than the student, puts the student up against that player and throws them and then talks to them while playing. You
yeah,
know, it says make a pylon, make a probe, make this. And some coaches do more specific than others, and some are talking theory during that, and it's all great, you know, and it's good, and a lot of people like that. I tend to shy away from that a little bit more, but I do that sort of thing. But I tend to get into that with people after they've had a few sessions with me, because first we go over some fundamentals and some theory and some lessons,
yeah.
like lesson plans sort of thing, and then we get into that sort of thing so that we can really expand. We have a foundation of what we're trying to strive for before we get into this like throwing you up against my pro gamer friends or something, and like being like, see, you're bad. You know, like, you know, but I mean
Yeah,
that's not what that's a terrible representation of most coaches, but that that's the sort of thing I'm trying to avoid, you know.
yeah. So that was a little bit about MikeD coaching. To sum this up a little bit, we want to have some information. Do you have any upcoming events going on right now? We're gonna look for you, MLG or some tournaments, and also, are you trying to train to get into clan or something like that? Can we get like
Yeah,
an
well,
insight what's going on?
MLG, I'm really trying to make it out to MLG for Columbus.
Yep.
Whether or not I don't even know if there's player passes available still. I hope there are, but I'm not sure if there are actually. And they're kind of expensive, and don't make all that much money right now being a student and a StarCraft coach. And so I want to make it out there either way.
Yep.
Like I pretty much have the funds
You,
together to get out there.
you're definitely gonna go there, even though you may or may
Yeah,
not
may or may
play.
not
Yeah.
play. I'm hoping to get a couple like donations or something from my viewers so that I
Yeah.
can play or something. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Totally fine.
And uh, but yeah, it would be great. But I don't expect to go far in that. I don't expect you to see me in group play or top anything. You know, I could very well just lose round one. But you know, like to me, that would be worth it, just to have the experience behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll make it to round three. You know, like
And also, it's a community
I'd
like,
be pretty happy if I made it to round three. But
yeah,
really, to me, MLG it would just be this awesome social experience. You know, like it's just like it would go. I am friends with a lot of people in the scene, and so like to get them all together. And I've been to local lands where I know
yeah,
where I know a lot of these people from, but to go to the kind of like North American mecca of StarCraft, where
exactly.
it's you know it's like a convention. It's like
Yeah,
the StarCraft convention that happens 5 times a year or something, six times or whatever MLG does. But yeah, so I'm excited about that, and I'll do the best I can if I play, and hopefully I'll have some cool games and replays to bring back from it.
Yeah,
But it would be great if I could get some support to get out there.
exactly.
And um, other than that, clans wise, actually, I am part of a team, and I don't really make this known too well because we're still kind of getting started up. But it's called SKS, Stim Kill Smile.
Yeah,
I'm not a Terran player, but it's led by a couple Terran players, and so that's
yeah,
the name. But it's the cool thing about this team is that it's actually some people that know me know that I attend a monthly LAN tournament in New York City
yeah,
called the Cybercraft LAN, and there's some pretty good players there, but we've become kind of a community as well. And this team is pretty much comprised of those players, and it's being led by uh, a player called Yen, who formerly known as uh, I forget what he used to be in Inflow before they broke up. He used to be in Rec. He's a top tier player. He's not, or he's a top, he's not super top tier, but he's an amazing player.
yeah.
And most people know who he is in some form, especially Terran players and stuff. And so he's putting together this team, and I feel pretty confident in the fact that we have some real experienced players as well as some good management backing this. We're working on t-shirts, we're working on sponsorship, we're working on a lot of things, and so it should be fun. But the best thing about it is that 90% of us in the clan, in the team, know each other in real life. So that's something most teams can't really.
That's very good.
Even
Yeah,
a lot of pro teams are international, you know,
can
and
be easy
like
to get
it's really hard to get their players all
yeah,
together.
training
Yeah,
together also.
exactly.
So it's very
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
And we're all like mid masters and higher sort of thing, and we have some semi pros on the team as well. So it's like it's nice. So I'm actually going to be changing my name fairly soon to tag up with that.
yeah,
I'm just always reluctant to do that because there has been teams that have started and kind of fizzled out and stuff, and you only get one name change right now.
yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
but that's actually I'm right on the verge of changing my name for it. So
Oh,
so
that's
be
nice to
looking
know.
for
Yeah,
SKS.
SK. Is
SKS
there?
MikeD.
Yeah, so be sure to probably gonna find more information about that on your home site and stuff like that when the
Yeah.
website when that becomes available. Yep.
Hopefully there's going to be more and more stuff coming out with them. We have some pretty good management behind it. The two people that run the Cybercraft tournament every month, who have a lot of experience with managing things,
Yep.
are helping. And my manager is helping, and so yeah.
So hopefully we will see this team coming over to Sweden to DreamHack finale winter 2011 in
So
the
yeah, that'd
November.
be great.
So
That'd
we
be
hope
great.
for that. So I
The
can
one
take
thing
your
that
hand.
we
Yeah.
have going for us is that we have a decent uh, chance at sponsorship because the people that run this tournament who have gotten small sponsors, people like DOS Keyboard and other gaming
Yep.
gear companies to sponsor that tournament, are already in contact with the people that manage this team. So hopefully at some point we can get some footing with that, and that would be great. It would be a different kind of team. At first, you know, until we get a real core group of actual super competitive
Yep.
players. But at the same time, perhaps we can kind of start this different tier. You know, like kind of like how you said you wanted to interview somebody who was not the top of the top.
Exactly.
And so we can have these teams that kind of fill that niche as well. It just has my coaching is $10 an hour, and there's also $30 an hour, and there's also $100 an hour coaches. There can be legitimacy to these things that aren't super top tier.
Exactly. So to kind of end this up, where can a viewer find more information about you?
More information about me? Well, I have my website, MikeDSC.net,
Yep.
www.mikedsc.net, and my stream is JustinTV/MikeD_209. 209 is my character code, so you can all spam me on Battle.net as well. My email for coaching is mikedcoaching@gmail.com. My email for PayPal is mkt.dunn@gmail.com in case you want to help out in my little MLG extravaganza or whatever you want to call it, excursion. And
And also we can put in there,
what
you're
else?
also caster also for something called ASW something.
Okay, yeah. I do casting with ASC Weekly, which is actually a really very unfortunately unknown tournament because right now they're not featured on Team Liquid as well because the prize money is fairly low. But they do, and going right back to that same idea we were just talking about, they do lower level tournaments. They have a tournament each week. It's ascweekly.net, I believe.
Yep.
Um, and they do a tournament. They have a bronze silver division, they have a gold platinum division, and they have a diamond division. I think that's how it works, or maybe it's gold platinum diamond, I don't know. They split it up into divisions like that, and they have a full like online tournament each day of the week, or like 5 days a week, Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. um, with great organization. Like the tournament, I've casted for other tournaments as well, and these guys have great organization. They're able to run a tournament so smoothly compared, especially for their not being that well known or anything, and they have great
Yeah.
production value and everything. Their stream isn't bad. I'm one of the casters. Their casters are pretty funny. And yeah, so, and they have a Masters division as well, and I got into this by winning the Masters division one time, first place a few weeks back, and so and I got in contact with them. But
Yeah.
I've also done some casting for Spazcraft, who most notably runs the Destiny show match each week,
Yep.
and who
And I
apparently also
think
has
also just to say
plans
we
for
have
bigger things.
I think the next Destiny is with Whiterop, I guess. If I'm not
Yeah,
next match
I've
now.
kind of, I haven't been doing a lot with Spazcraft recently because
Yeah.
they had all these big plans to do things, and they still have big plans to do things, but a lot of it's been put on hold. So I'm kind of there as like a caster and streamer that's going to be called upon once they need me,
Yep.
and they're kind of working with what they have, because now they have too many casters, it seems, because they were preparing for all of this stuff to happen, and then it kind of got put on hold. There's some other things coming from me at some point. You can look for myself and my people organizing some lower level tournaments as well, perhaps somehow involved with ASC Weekly, and you can look for me just participating in other online tournaments and streaming and doing what I do.
Yep. And I say thank you for letting me have you here, and hopefully I can bring you some more interviews with some other master players, and maybe also can get in touch with some of the organizers from this ASAW Weekly and talk a little bit about the tournament and help them out with publicity also,
Yeah,
because
that would be great,
what I like
actually.
to see them doing is that they involve bronze, silver. It's not just most tournaments out there. It's very hard for new player that are kind of good but don't have the time to ladder. Don't have the time to ladder, but they are good, and they have no chance to get in leagues because they are in bronze or silver or whatever. So this kind of good that is tournaments also focusing on players that are in those leagues. I like it, and it
Yeah, and
also
everyone should be able to have the tournament experience. You know,
exactly.
it's like it's fun. It's like
And it
to
also
move
brings
on in
fun
the tournament,
games.
to get further, to have something a little bit more meaningful than ladder
Yeah.
points behind it. I think for the lower levels, their prizes is coaching or a
Yeah.
T-shirt or something like that. You know, it's not big.
But I mean,
The
as the
Masters
publicity
level
goes
has like a
on,
$10
just
prize.
money comes
Yeah, but
in.
they can get
Yeah,
bigger. They do have a
exactly.
small sponsor. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but that will be awesome. So I'll say again, thank you, MikeD, and for all my viewers here, you can find this video on TobziGames. You can also subscribe for more upcoming videos of interviews I do with a lot of players and maybe some other coaches and also tournaments organizations. So thank you very much, MikeD, and I will see you probably another time. We'll probably do something else together in the future. We'll see.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yep. Bye bye, guys. And you want to do
Uh,
shout out somebody?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was gonna cut you off before you turned it off, but definitely a huge shout out to Furry Balls, Edgar. He's my manager and my do all the things that I can't remember to do person,
Yep.
who is awesome. And without him, this whole thing wouldn't be what it is. And then there's other people on my stream that have helped out as well. Herpderp and a few others, and of course just to all my viewers, especially the people that come every day day and watch me for hours while they're at work or at school or whatever they do. It's really great to have that like consistent basis. And so yeah, hopefully I'm about to get some games in here as soon as we're done with this.
Yep. Nice. So see you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.